Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Yahweh B'Shem Shabbat. Before I get this lesson started, this report, I'm going to give all praise and glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Rakadash, and double honor to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, of whom I learned from, and I want to give all praises to Yahweh Shai, the King of the earth, the one who will reign from the throne of King David, the only one who is fit for the rulership of the planet Earth and the universe. Man, this is wild. So I was on TikTok, not TikTok, but Instagram, and this girl.
If you've cut out the beer,
And
I'm not going to go into great.
I saw it first from her because she pulls out a lot of stuff. She's real cynical. She's kind of cute. She talks a lot of shit. And I was like, is that fucking Perry Stone? Perry Stone. So you guys remember, I'm a Christian. I'm an ex-Christian. I used to be a Christian, my whole life, and I used to listen to all the television evangelists, all this shit, bro. I was a Christian for about 43 fucking years, and then I woke up. Look at this fucking shit. He opens his mouth and speaks against those who are in heaven. Let's get that real quick. Just let me get that for my backdrop. He was given a mouth to speak. He was given a mouth to speak great things, right? And so even Revelations 13:5, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. So the blasphemies are the lies against the Most High. Let's get the Edamon. This is got to be. I'm just so fucking mad right now, bro. God, bro, I'm just I fucking blasphemy, impious or profane speaking of God or sacred things, and we understand that the chariots, the marakab, is that how you say it? Marakabra? I don't know if I'm saying it right. The host, the chariots, the wheels of fire. They're the armies of Yahweh on the right and left hand side. Okay, so he's got holy powers, and he's got evil powers, but they're subject to him. They're his armies. They do what he says, and so you can't just speak against them. You know what I'm saying? Impious or profane speaking of power or the Most High and sacred things, blasphemy, speaking ill, impious speech, slander, to speak evil of. So look at this, man. Just, oh my God, I'm so pissed. Look at this. This is recent. This is a CBN News, Christian Broadcasting Network. This is 4 hours ago.
Just when you thought the disclosure of aliens and UFOs and interdimensional beings couldn't get more bizarre, well-known Christian pastor Perry Stone just had this to say.
But there were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the United States government and others.
Okay, so these faggots, right? These fucking liars, these abominable fuckers, these are Edomites. But according to their truth, right, and according to America and all the people all over the world they've been spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, right? The gospel of white Jesus. They claim to have the Holy Spirit. They speak in tongues. God speaks directly to them, right? There's separation of church and state. Yet, they claim to understand demon spirits, and, they quote Paul all kind of ways, right? Yet, when Edomite men, when white men in the government call them to come tell them something that supposedly is spiritual, supposedly is supernatural, right? Well, it is. But they claim to not know what it is. All of a sudden, these white men, these Edomite men in the government, all of a sudden have an authority over the Christian churchmen. Isn't that weird? Isn't that strange? When there's supposed to be a separation between them, right? Well, we understand now that Renaissance Western Christianity is the strong delusion. It's the false doctrine. And it was spread by Freemasons. They don't say that, but we have figured that out. Billy Graham. All these motherfuckers are Freemasons. And what is Freemasonry? Freemasonry is the Edomite religion that allows him to tap in at the bottom levels of the Amalekites, who are the head tribe of Esau Edom. And the Amalekites are the tribe that get to directly speak to or deal with the left-hand side, right? That's your Epstein class. And on up, the Feast of Blood, all that shit that they're doing. Well, you got to be involved in Freemasonry on some level to even be able to tap into some of those secrets. And Renaissance Western Christianity is a faction, or it's a sect. It's an arm of Freemasonry. Most of the high-ranking, all the famous pastors, they're Freemasons on some level. And so here you have this bitch, this Christian faggot, talking about, oh, there was a meeting, and there was a bunch of pastors, and they went to go get advice from men who don't claim to know their God, Jesus Christ. But all of a sudden, they're gonna go listen to these guys. This whole shit is fucking sideways, bro.
Share with them a concern to go to a certain state.
Perry Stone just had this to say.
But there were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the United States government and others share with them a concern that they had. But he said, Perry, what they're about to release, from what we're hearing, there's going to be a release concerning aliens.
So this fucking Edomite white man is saying that a group of Edomite white men in the government, because they're in the government, they have had access to personal, private, spiritual information that the entire Christian church, again, we know that the Christian church is full of shit, right? We know it's bullshit. But they don't think they're full of shit, and they don't claim to be full of shit, and they went around the whole world claiming to not be full of shit. So you're telling me that now, all of a sudden now, a group of white men in the fucking government have information that absolutely nobody in the Christian church knew or understood. And because these white men are now deciding to release this information, these white pastors, who have supposedly been these spiritual leaders this whole time, they're going to follow along these white men who don't even serve the Jesus they teach on. But they're going to follow these motherfuckers, and they're going to take this information to their congregation in the same form that Hollywood's been doing this whole time. This shit has me so fucking mad, bro.
And concerning unidentified flying object spacecraft, that some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people and you need to get ready to answer them for what you're about to hear being released.
What does it say in this? So you got to give them an answer that doesn't include the scriptures, right? You got to just explain it to them from what does it say, to the law and the testimony? To the law and the testimony. If they speak not according to this word. Look at this. Isaiah 8:20. To the law and to the testimony. What's that testimony? Yahushai, the new song, the 100% truth, the prophecies, the statutes, the commandments. To the law and to the testimony of Yahushai being the spirit of prophecy. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. And what is light? Light is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. They are in the congregation of the dead, you guys. They have absolutely no understanding. The man that wanders out of the man who wanders out of the way of understanding is in the congregation of the dead. Look. So when you don't have so Proverbs 12:21-16, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. How do we get understanding? Through thy precepts. Psalms 119. By thy precepts. By thy precepts. Do you see how fucking sideways? By thy precepts I get understanding. I get understanding. It's very simple, but it's plain to the holy. And the holy are a seed line, a race of people, a nation of people, and you got to be elect or hopefully elect Hebrew Israelites. Psalms 19, 119, 104. Through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way. They don't hate false ways, you guys, because they have no understanding, and they have no understanding because they don't speak according to the testimony. They don't speak according to the law. They come from the position of Renaissance Western Christianity, which is a white supremacy, Edomite hiding doctrine, because everything in prophecy speaks about the destruction and the hatred and the wickedness of Esau Edom, and there are no sermons in Renaissance Western Christianity teaching the world about the wickedness of Esau Edom. This is how Esau was able to hide himself.
And some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly a part of our planet, and the materials they're made of are not a part of our planet.
And that's bullshit, because we know in Ezekiel, we understand in Ezekiel that the spirit of the angels, the spirit of Allah empowers the wheels, and the wheels are fueled by the spirits of the angels, and the angels don't run out of gas or get tired. They never go to sleep because they don't even need to eat food. Therefore, the wheels or the UFOs or the chariots will not run out of gas. The spirit of the creatures was in the wheels. Look, watch. See, we got to go by the precepts. We have to speak a Lord. Ezekiel, so look, bro, look, this is why I'm so mad. Ezekiel 1:19, and when the living creature went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creature were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Watch. Let's go. This 19. We're going to read the whole chapter. We're not going to read the whole chapter. We're going to read some more. So look. This is. Oh my gosh. Verse 20. Whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. When those went, these went, and when those stood, these stood. Meaning, whenever the angel in his mind, in his spirit, wherever he willed to fly, to go, the chariot that he's inside of, that's protecting him and covering his glory, covering his face, it would move with him. Wherever they become one, they're unified. There's like a bond that takes place between the chariot and the host, or the angel and the chariot. Whenever he steps inside of it, like it becomes a living piece of armor or a vehicle around him, and his mind is connected with it, and they go to and fro. He doesn't even have to speak, or maybe he does speak, but it's just so rapidly fast that he moves like lightning with this thing. That's what it's saying, bro. When those went, these went. And when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. Want to get another one? Let's get Daniel. The wheels of fire. Look, man. This makes me so mad, bro. The wheels of fire. It's Daniel. So look, man. Good Lord, Daniel 7:9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down. He's looking, and we're in that time. The thrones is talking about all the different rulerships, and Esau is the last rulership. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. They're about to come down, and there's going to be a major war exchange in the heavens. Revelation chapter 12, the war of heaven. Daniel 7:9. And behold, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. That's the Father. That's Abanawa. That's Yahushai's Father, our Father, through the blood of Yahushai, the Most High. Allah Shaja, Yahweh Shaphat. I mean Yahweh Salakia, Yahweh Tazabawath, the Yahweh of hosts, of armies. These chariots, these so-called UFOs, are his military force, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fires, his wheels, his armies, his military force, his armada as burning fire. Those are all his chariots up there, man. That's what
allegedly a part
that wheel, that's what you see in the background. That's a wheel. Those are wheels of fire, man.
of our planet, and the materials they're made of are not a part of our planet.
So that's bullshit. What Perry Stone is saying is absolute bullshit. What's the so-called Edomites in the government are saying is absolute bullshit, because Ezekiel chapter 1 tells you that the spirit of the living creature is in the wheels, and the living creature is never going to run out of gas. He's not going to a power, an angel, a mighty one, is not going to get into a wheel of fire and be the right hand or left hand extension or arm, right hand or left hand expression of Yahweh on the earth, come fly into the earth, and then all of a sudden break down and run out of gas and fall down on the ground right in front of Esau, so Esau can pick it up and reverse engineer it. Get the fuck out of here, you guys. Even if a chariot were left on the ground, there's absolutely no fucking way, bro, that Esau would be able to reverse engineer that, bro. It's not going to happen. He's already had his bounds set around him. He can't get past the Van Allen belt. He can't get past the Van Allen belt. Okay? He can't go back in time. He can barely look a couple of seconds into the future in time. And what does he see? He sees his demise every single time. He cannot reverse engineer any of this stuff. It's all bullshit, you guys.
Very strange reptilian-looking creatures.
Okay, our alien expert, Billy.
And that's all blasphemy, because the scriptures tell you what the let's go into Maccabees. I think Maccabees. The men were handsome. The men were, were handsome. I know I'm completely butchering it. The angels, let me see. Bam, see it, but it knows. See, the algorithm knows what I'm trying to freaking say, though. Look at this. So, oh, you bastard. Come on, give me. I gotta specifically say it. Maccabees, second Maccabees 2, 33, 36, 27. Let's see. Let's go to Slovakia. Which one? The GNT. Herodias also saw two unusually strong and handsome young men wearing very fine clothes. They stood on either side of him and beat him unmercifully. These are two angels whooping this dude, bro, because he's being a dick. Let me see. This one doesn't want to pull up. I hate what they've done to the Let me see. Second Ezra 236 or 26 Slovakia. Second Ezra 226 326. Second Ezra 326. And I hate that Bible because it always does that. Second Ezra. Second Maccabees. 3:26. Let me see. Boom. Let me see. Moreover, two other. Okay. So, moreover, two other young men appeared before him, notable in strength, excellent in beauty, and comely in apparel, who stood by him on either side and scourged him continually and gave him many sore stripes. They were whooping his ass. And Heliodorus fell suddenly into the ground and was compassed with great darkness. But they that were with him took him up and put him into the litter. Thus him that lately came with a great train and with all his guard into the said treasury, they carried out, being unable to help himself with his weapons, and manifestly they acknowledged the power of the Most High. For he by the hand of God was cast down and lay speechless without all hope. So the chariots, the angels, they are called the hand of Yahweh, whether it's the right hand or the left hand, but they're his hands. So these guys do not come into the earth to then wreck so that fucking Esau can take their their weapons, reverse engineer them, and then use them. That's not how this works, you guys.
What did you make of that?
I love that alien expert. Well, here's what I'll tell you. We don't really know what this meeting was. We don't know what happened. I have seen other people say, oh, no, it's real. I was there. This meeting happened. The reality is we don't know the confines of the information, what was sort of given. There's a lot happening here. Disclosure, the idea that alien disclosure could happen or...
And the fact that anybody is listening to the so-called white man speak about any topic at all, especially after now with the Epstein files that have been released and everything that the Hebrew Israelites are saying on the streets, it's absolutely fucking mind-blowing. But then again, even the people who are listening to Esau Edom, it's because the Most High is making them listen to Esau Edom, because he has been exposed 1,000,000 times over. He's been made bare. We see who he is. We see what he is. And because we understand how to read the Bible now correctly, separated and apart from Renaissance Western Christianity, every fucking thing that comes out this dude's mouth, we're able to slap it down with the precepts, not with our opinions, not with our emotions, not with our worldly, secular, scholastic teachings, but with the scriptures, with the precepts. We're able to run circles around these people, bro. It's mind-blowing that people even listen, that they even listen to this race of people anymore. It's mind-blowing, bro.
Explanations for these UFOs, that the government is going to do this. We've seen the president talk about this. But the idea that faith leaders would be brought in is very interesting, because this is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal in culture. It's going to be a big deal essentially in the church, because people have to have an answer to it. We've been talking about this quite a bit here, in different segments. And the reality is Christians have to know what they believe and what they think about this. And that requires praying about it, asking the Lord, looking at scripture, trying to understand what could possibly be going on here. But I have to tell you, the big thing when I look at this is that fear. Fear is something that is going to grip people. There's also a fascination. People have long wanted to believe in aliens. They've wanted to believe in UFOs. Maybe 10 years ago, we would have laughed about it, but right now, more than half of the public believes that these things are real. And so whatever this disclosure tells us, the fact that you had pastors purportedly gathered together, if this is true, to talk with government officials about it is very, very intriguing for a couple of reasons. First, it shows that pastors, still in the eyes of the government, hold an important role in our culture and our society, right? They preside over many, many people, sometimes thousands of people. And so if you want to get a message to people, you go to those pastors. But the second thing, and this is really interesting, we have no idea if this is true. We have to assume now, are we just going to believe suddenly whatever the government narrative is on? And we don't know what it's going to be. Whatever the government comes out and says about UFOs and aliens is...
What he should be saying is whatever the white man comes out and says, because that's who it is, Esau. It's whatever Esau is saying.
Are we posturing to say we're going to believe that automatically? Are we going to question that? Are we going to try to understand maybe what is going on? Because we are very much in a time where there have been a lot of distrust and a lot of questions about what the government has said on other issues, right, of late. And so I'm very interested to see how people react to the government coming forward with information, because you have to assume again that the government knows, okay, well, if I trust what the government says, right, at face value, and whatever narrative they put out there, if I just say I'm going to embrace that, I think that's pretty lazy. So I would encourage everybody, regardless of whether or not this story is true, regardless of whether or not pastors were brought together, when that disclosure does happen, that you take it to prayer. And I'll stop there, Raj.
Think about this. You got finite flesh and blood men that are limited in everything. They have to go to sleep at night. They have to eat food. They have to drink water for strength. You're telling me a fucking group of men have the power to hold back, to contain something as powerful as the chariots, what they call blasphemously the UFOs. A group of white fucking men, a group of uncoordinated men that when they walk out in the sun, they can't even protect their skin from the fucking sun, bro. They have to wear SPF 10s and FPF 15s to protect themselves from the sun. These weak motherfuckers, bro, that can't fucking get Iran to do what they want them to do, because prophecy said Iran was going to do what it was going to do. You're telling me that a group of fucking Edomite men have the power to contain the reality of the chariots and then release it at their own will? That you're telling me that the so-called white man has that kind of power, dude? And these fucking stupid fucking people will continue to listen to this dumb shit. The chariots tell you that they're superior, and they don't listen to anybody but the Most High, just by the fact that they fly in the American skies. They don't ask for permission to show up into the American skies. They don't communicate with air traffic control, and they never get into a wreck with any of the airplanes. Just by them doing that, they are showing that they are superior on every fucking level. Look, how does air traffic control work? Look at this. So I asked it a question.
Air traffic control in America uses a layered system managed by the FAA to guide planes. Airspace is divided into sectors handled by towers, TRACONs, and centers. Controllers use radar and radios to keep planes separated, manage traffic, and provide navigation.
Why? Why do they got to keep the planes separated? Because they'll fucking crash. And so there's all this communication going on. You have to speak English. If you live in another nation, watch, I'm going to prove something here. Watch.
Yes, globally, you need English to work as an air traffic controller. The International Civil Aviation Organization requires all controllers and pilots on international flights to meet specific English standards, making English the universal language for safety.
Okay, which also what does it mean? See, English is the international word for safety. Oh, how sweet. Get the fuck out of here. It's because Esau is in rulership right now. That's all that means. That's what that really means. English is spoken because that's the bastardized language that Esau came up with. You want to know what the thing is about English? You can lie really good with English, because the way the words can be manipulated, you can lie really good with English. That's why they created it. Now look at Ezekiel. Look at Ezekiel. Let's go back to Ezekiel. Look at Ezekiel. Ezekiel 1. So look at this. Look at Ezekiel 1. So you're going to see something very similar when he's describing, and I looked and behold a whirlwind. So look at Ezekiel 1 and 4. And I looked and behold a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also, out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. They did not have 4 faces. The 4 faces he's describing are their characteristics in their spirit. It's not they didn't have a big old head with 4 faces on it, like some kind of deformity. That's not what he's saying. It's talking about the 4 characteristics, okay? And their feet were straight feet, and their soles of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. Right there, it tells you that they're dark-skinned. These are Negroes, niggas, and they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went every one straight forward. And as for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man, the face of a lion, the face of and the face of an ox, and the face of an eagle. All right. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched up toward 2 wings on every side. One were joined together. And they didn't have 4 wings or 6 wings. This is describing the chariot, the wings of the chariot, you guys. He's seeing into the spirit realm, and he's describing the propulsion, the power of the chariot by giving you a description of wings. It's not like they had 4 faces, physical 4 faces, and that they had wings either. No, that's not what it's saying. And they went, everyone straight forward, whether their spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was the burning coals of fire, like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went 4 lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned, and the appearance of the flash of lightning. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creature with his four faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl. And they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were the wheel in the middle of the wheel. When they went up on their four sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes. Now, were there actual eyeballs on the ring? No, this is telling you that because of the Spirit, they can literally see every direction possible because of how fast they move. They go in and out of dimensions. That's a type of vision. You got to have vision. You got to have sight to do that kind of stuff. They move in and out of visions. They change shape. They can go through stuff. That's what he's describing, okay? They were full of eyes round about them. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go. And the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. They will never crash. Esau's a fucking liar. The so-called white man is a goddamn liar, and he can't reverse engineer anything. When those went, these went, and when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of the terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above, and under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Every one had two, which covered on this side, and everyone had two, which covered on that on their side on their bodies. That's them inside of the chariot. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty. There goes your air traffic control for all of these chariots. All of the instruction that the Most High is giving them from his throne as they're moving to and fro and as they're communicating back and forth and reporting. There's major communication going on between all of the hosts and all of the chariots all around the world, back and forth to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. That's why I was reading all that. Verse 24, and when they went, I heard the noise of their wings. So the prophet Ezekiel is getting a major download of the multi-dimensional communicational movements and power of just these four living creatures, or two living creatures that he saw four. And he's getting an understanding for how they move and how they communicate with each other. Just like we see here with air traffic control. And I said all that to say this. If motherfucking, hold on, there was a point I was...
But I'll just say this last thing. You take it to prayer, you ask God, how do I interpret this information? What does this mean? And we put it up against what Scripture tells us to have a proper framework and understanding of what could be happening.
Shop the new arrivals by Ashley Lux, where practical prices...
Scripture tells us to have a proper framework and understanding of what...
And they're not reading any of the scriptures like what you just saw me read right now, or anybody from GMS, Hebrew Israelites, will just read. And I just read everything out of the Bible. Proving my point. Yet Christianity cannot and does not and will not read the scriptures like this. Why? Because it's a false doctrine. They believe in white Jesus. They don't believe that Esau is a so-called white man. So because they're, for one, and they're Edomites, the Most High doesn't speak to Edomites, okay? Renaissance Western Christianity was developed by Edomites, by the higher up echelon on the left-hand side, specifically to deceive their own people and to deceive our people and the world. It was also developed to hide who Esau Edom is. And as a result of them hiding who Esau Edom is, they're able to lie about everything else. And then they're able to lie about the chariots, and the chariots are found in the scriptures. And this is why Esau Edom through Hollywood has been blaspheming the host and the armies of the Most High this whole time. Every single Hollywood movie that has come out about UFOs, brilliantly written, but its underlying tone, or that the main purpose was to accuse the host of heaven in your minds and say that they're demons or aliens, that they're unattractive and they're gross, that they want to do weird things to you, and that they don't have a righteous purpose, that they don't have a holy purpose. And that's all a lie. And so, because when you get to Revelation chapter 12, you see Revelation chapter 12. This is the war of heaven. And Renaissance Christianity teaches this, that it happened a long time ago. because they think the dragon is actually Satan, when the dragon is the Roman Empire, the revised Roman Empire, and it's the beast system, which involves America, who rides on the beast, and the beast that she rides on is the EU and NATO, and those are all so-called white people rulerships or powers, and those go into the 7 horns, or Salakia, the 7 heads, the 10 horns. All of that are your Edomite tribes of rulership. Okay, when you understand that, and so when you get to verse 12 or 7, boom, Michael, and there was war in heaven. Allah and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon is talking about the so-called white man and all of his technology. This is coming, and these chariots are going to be involved. This is both the day of the Lord, Yahweh Shaphat, the Battle of Armageddon, and World War III, all combined, coming up to the climax of Jacob's trouble, which will be implemented or set off by the RFID chip once that's imposed. This all is together, you guys. So verse 7, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And we understand heaven. There's 3 heavens. Okay, you got 3 heavens. The first heaven is the rulership position on earth. The second heaven is the sky, the atmosphere, and outer space. And the third heaven is the literal throne room of Yahweh on his fathership, or inside the massive chariot that he sits in, that he moves around in. That's where he's seated, super high up in the north somewhere. Okay, and we understand that, and I can prove that the word heaven, as far as the rulership on earth is concerned, is Lamentations chapter 2. Look, the Bible explains itself. Come on, pull up. Okay, look, God's anger over Israel. How hath the Lord covered the daughter of Zion? We understand that that's talking about the rulership position of Israel, with a cloud in his anger, and cast down from heaven unto the earth the beauty of Israel. Was Israel ever in heaven? No, but were they ever in rulership? Yes. When King David was on the throne and when King Solomon was on the throne. They were in rulership. King David for so many years, King Solomon for 40. That is the last time that Israel has been in rulership. And we're talking about global rulership, where the entire planet was coming to hear the wisdom of Solomon. That's heaven on earth. It was that awesome, where Israel was able to have the laws, statutes, commandments, circumcision. They were separated from the nations, right? They had been at war previously with King David. All right, so now everybody was like, okay, they were kind of beaten to submission. They didn't want no smoke, but they sure wanted some wisdom, and they wanted to do business. And the only time and the last time that Israel was in this position was when King Solomon was in that position. That is heaven on earth. That's what this is talking about. So when they fell from heaven, it's talking about them losing their rulership seat position on the earth. It's the same thing that we see happening when you go into Revelations 12. Now the dragon, who is symbolic of the so-called white man's rulership, now it's his turn to fall from heaven. This goes into Isaiah 14. O Lucifer, how art thou fallen from heaven? The Lucifer is talking about the upper echelon rulership, human aspect of the Edomite nations, the banking families. So Revelation 12, Isaiah 14, they go together. They back each other up. All right, and this falling from heaven takes place with a war in heaven involving so-called UFOs, which are the chariots of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, the Lucifer on the left-hand side, the human element of the satanic reality. They understand this, and this is why they have been accusing the chariots this entire time from Hollywood. It's been the same race of people telling you all these weirdo things about the chariots, when the scriptures say a bunch of different things. Who are you going to believe? You're going to believe the so-called white man, or are you going to believe the Bible when the Hebrew Israelites explain the scriptures to you? Who are you going to believe?
It's what scripture tells us to have a proper framework and understanding of what could be happening.
I actually think this is a gift. This is happening slowly, so that we can have a moment to just chat and figure out what the Bible says about this. And I think most importantly, as you were mentioning,
and every day the Hebrew Israelites tell you what the Bible says about this. This lesson is telling you what the Hebrew Israelites says about this. There's a million. If you go into my my personal YouTube, if you go into my YouTube, I got a let me see. I got a freaking I have a let me see. I got a playlist. I think I got it in here somewhere. Let me see. Okay, so UFOs are called clouds in the Bible. Look, they are the vehicles. And I got 26 videos. Some of them I've done. I've done the 1, 2, 3. I've done these first 4, 5, 6, 7. I've done these first 7 myself. And then all these right here are other videos that other brothers have done on the chariots, using the scriptures to explain everything. And this is just my channel. My channel's a little channel. I got a little channel, you guys. But this is just me doing work from what I've learned by listening to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and how the Spirit has led me through the scriptures. You know, look.
Thinking about Yahushua when he was standing in front of the woman caught in adultery. And the men brought her to him and said, the law says one caught in adultery should be stoned. What do you say? And he was writing something in the ground, and he stood up and said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. And one by one, they were convicted and they let her go. And he looked at her and said, woman, where are thine accusers? She said, there are none, Lord. He said, neither do I accuse thee. Go and sin no more. Now, Christianity has taken this precept and completely made it into something it doesn't even mean. Yes, it is about redemption, but the woman is talking about Israel, and mainly the elect of Israel and the Israelites only. It's not talking about any other race of people on the earth, because no other race of people were given the law. Another clue into this that nobody in the Christian world would understand is when Yahushua says, let he who is without sin cast the first stone, there's 2 meanings to this. It goes deeper. He's talking about his father. His father is the only one without sin. Now people would be like, what do you mean? Yahushua, the one the world ignorantly calls Jesus, he was without sin. Yeah, he was in this life. But see, the Hebrew precepts and the prophecies and the context of the scriptures talks about reincarnation, something that the Western world doesn't understand, because Esau, the so-called white man, took our book while we were in captivity and spread a Renaissance Western version of a book that is from the East, that was written by the Hebrews. And Esau is an Edomite. He doesn't understand the scriptures. What they have done with the iconoclasm during Renaissance is they had made the Bible about white people. By making all the people, color doesn't matter. It absolutely does matter. Because they took a book that was written in the East and they made it about America, patriotic America, by saying that it's all about being a Christian and calling people Christians, when the word Christian is only found 2 times in the scriptures in the book of Acts, and it's not written in the form of a commandment. It's a description for people that use for the disciples. It was like a nickname. So you never heard Yahushua call himself a Christian. Paul the Apostle never called himself a Christian. None of the prophets ever called themselves a Christian. So the word Christian, being a Christian, and Christianity has nothing to do with biblical understanding. Okay? Yahushua was talking about his father. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. And that first stone is Yahushua. How do we know this? Well, he is the rock of our salvation for the Israelites, right? He also is the elect stone, the chief cornerstone. Where? In Zion, which is the government of Israel, right? Which includes the 144,000 chosen, King David, right? And all the apostles. It's the foundation, the 12 foundations found in the temple mentioned, the New Jerusalem mentioned, in the book of Revelations, which is the men. It's the men of Israel, the elect men of Israel. It's not necessarily a building, it's the bodies. It's the new glorified bodies of the men of Israel. That's what the 12 gates are, man. What about when it talks about the rock that was cut without hands that hits the statue in the feet and knocks the entire statue over in 2nd Daniel? That's a future prophecy. What does that mean? That's when Yahushua comes back on the chariots, which this world calls UFOs. And when the entire world sees him through the news media, they're going to mourn because they're going to see him on a chariot, which is what they call a UFO. He's going to be with the other hosts of heaven, and they're going to see a bunch of black men. They're not going to see some white dude with long hair and a robe. And this is why it says in Revelations, when they see him, they will wail because of him. Because of the image that they have seen this entire time on the earth, that they have seen of a white dude with long hair is not true, and they've been listening to the Israelites, but they haven't been taking heed to our words. And when they see him, they're going to remember every time they heard us, right? And they're going to be like, I never paid attention, I never listened. And there he is right there in the sky, and his eyes are red, and he's pissed off, and he's coming to destroy the armies of Esau, Edom. That's white supremacy, you guys, because it says in the Bible that the armies of this world are going to try to fight the Lamb when he returns in Armageddon. Well, who has the biggest army on the planet? America. And who runs America? The so-called white men. Let he who was without sin cast the first stone. It isn't just about forgiving for the Israelites. It's about the Most High, Yahweh, the Father, literally throwing Yahushua like a rock to judge Esau, Edom, and his rulership. Because forgiveness is only for the wife, and the wife of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is the elect of Yasharallah. The whore is Mystery Babylon, and that's America. That's Basra. That is the chief city of the Edomites. Oh yeah. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Meaning Yahweh send Yahushua to destroy the armies of the earth so that we can be in rulership under Yahushua, because that's the only way it happens. Lamentations 4 verses 21, 22. Read it. Our salvation has always been connected to the destruction of the ruling powers of the heathen and the wicked. The first Passover holiday the Israelites were given when they were coming out of Egypt involved what? The blood of a firstborn lamb without blemish put on the doorpost. Then Yahushua came in and passed over them, and then what did he do? He went right to the Egyptians and killed all their firstborn. So the Israelites' first holiday involves them being freed from a nation who's had them in slavery. At the same time, that nation that had them in slavery has had all their firstborn killed. That's the first holiday of the Israelites. Yeah. Think about this, man. And every time salvation is mentioned in Scripture, it always has to do with the Israelites coming out from under the rulership of another nation. And that nation has to be destroyed when they are set free. When has America, when has Esau, when has the so-called white man ever paid for his crimes against us in slavery? He never has. Yet he's got us locked up in his prisons, but he never goes to prison. Dude, there's no way to explain this without sounding violent. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, and I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, of whom I learned from. Shalom.
And you see it, all of these, and that's what the chariots are for us. These chariots, what you see right there, that UFO, that is salvation for the Hebrew Israelites. But to the Edomites, to the fucking Edomites, it's something scary. It's something demonic. It's something bad.
Just when you thought the disclosure of aliens...
And they're fucking completely clueless as to how to explain it, because they're fucking sorry as fuck. They're pieces of shit, bro. They won't go into the scriptures the right way.
So they could...
Performance, durability, affordability.
Mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number on its name, And here's verse 18. And this is for us, if you're watching.
This guy's a fucking effeminate fucking homosexual, dude. Listen to him. Look at this for us.
This calls for...
It takes 90 seconds for the
calls for wisdom. I think just from a logical atheistic
He's already fucking up. I think. It's not based on what you think, asshole.
perspective, the closest solar system is something like 5 light years away, which means unless this aircraft or whatever it is has the ability to travel at the speed of light, which I think is almost impossible. I don't think this is how an alien race would interact with human beings that have traveled gajillions of miles away. This seems like interdimensional beings. And to me, it lines up perfectly with a great deception, a great falling away, signs performed by this thing. The Bible says that in the last times, there will be signs that the whole world sees. Again, all this stuff, mark on the beast, it's things that couldn't have happened without some sort of global way to communicate all this, to show it all. Everything is lining up. And this is not like an end times prophecy kind of thing. I'm just saying that the most important verse that I read is verse 18. This calls for wisdom. And to your point, Billy, this seems like...
And the wisdom that he's talking about is only found in the Hebrew Israelites because it's based on the understanding of what's written in the scriptures, what's already been placed in prophecy for us. And they have absolutely no clue on biblical prophecy. They don't even understand. They don't even call Yahweh by his real name. They don't even know that they're biblical Edomites because their own elites have deceived them into thinking that they're white and that they could be Christians through Renaissance Western Christianity. I don't want to listen anymore. I'm pissed off. Unfucking believable, bro. And when I was a Christian, I used to listen to this fucker right here all the time on TBN, bro. At one time, you guys, believe it or not, this piece of shit that you're looking at on the screen was one of my favorite Christian pastors to listen to. That's how lost I was. I'm not tooting my own horn, okay? I'm not. But the little bit that I was able to do in this lesson, just by going through the precepts, that information, that knowledge, that ability was not in me when I was listening to this dude. And just to hear him, even as a Christian, I would be pissed listening to him saying that he was listening, or that he's listening to someone that was listening to somebody in the government talking about get your people ready. We have to explain something. Because even as a Christian, even though I was lost and dead in Christianity, I understood that there's some things you don't fucking mix. You know what I mean? And that would have it is so it blows me away. But it's proof that Renaissance Western Christianity is a fucking tool of the American government, because they never, look what I wrote. I wrote something in here. It's pretty long. Renaissance Western Christianity is white supremacy. It's a false doctrine. It always has been. It never mentions who Esau Edom is. It never questions the actions of the white men in the government. Never. You mean to tell me that Perry Stone has been preaching the gospel of white Jesus for 30 years, and only now, because white men in the government of America say so, it is so? LOL. How much proof does one need to see that the so-called white man is the biblical nation known as Edom, Esau, the wicked? LOL. No one in 501c3 tax-exempt Renaissance Western Christianity, white supremacy, ever questions the American government. Why? Because Renaissance Western Christianity was set up to hide who Esau, Edom is from the world, at the same time by putting a white image of God in the minds of the people of the world. The so-called UFOs are the chariots of Yahweh, and his son Yahushua is coming back in one the size of a mountain to war against the dragon, the beast system, which is America and the EU. The Hebrew Israelites have told you, wicked people, that the chariots are the armies of heaven, and yet you refuse to listen. LOL. But anything and everything the Epstein file class tells you, you believe and you follow. You will be destroyed in 1 hour when the war in heaven takes place. You will also lose World War III at the same time. And it's true. It's true. So I pray that this lesson was edifying. These fucking people are disgusting. They're pathetic. We see them for what they are. I hate that they handle our word. I hate that they use the name of Israel. I hate that they call Yahushua Jesus, that they make him look white. I hate them, man, and I'm looking forward to the judgment that's coming for them. Written in Isaiah 63, verses 1 through 5, and Lamentations. Just 2nd Ezra 13. Just looking forward to watching it. Obadiah, man. Everything written. Man, oh my God. I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Kodash, and double honors to the elders and apostles, the great men of whom I learned from. Your brother Radah. Shalom.